I'm Ben Erkens. From Greenville, South Carolina. I play soccer at Clemson University. I got here from Wade Hampton High School in Greenville. Um, I've had a good experience here so far. Started probably 30-40% of the games. Obviously, we are the national champions right now, so that's pretty awesome. But aside from that, we won the ACC, we won ACC regular season. We've pretty much won everything since I've been here. Yeah, I've had a great time. But yeah, that's me. Be grateful for what I have. It's one of those things that it's so easy to get complacent and caught up with what we have and the blessings that God has given to us. But I would say just sitting down and realizing how much that God has done and what the blessings are that he's provided for in life, and be grateful for what we have and live in the present. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've probably learned since I've come to Clemson. Yeah, so freshman year, came in, and our coach calls it the freshman curve. So you start out like on this high, ready to go into college, ready to get after it. You get into the season and you're like, oh man, school's really tough. Oh man, trying to get a lifestyle going, trying to still live for God, trying to do all these things. And then that's just outside of soccer. So like soccer, obviously you're a freshman, you're not really going to just come in and just boom, start off really good most of the time. So for me, obviously I hit that freshman curve pretty hard, went down, down, down. And so I think that was probably the first time I started feeling burnt out in my faith, because obviously it's easy to have a lot of faith and have a strong walk with God when things are going well. It's like, God, thank you so much for everything we're doing, blah, blah, blah. It's so good. But when you're like not playing, you're sitting bench, you're, trying to make friends, but you have no time. Classes are hitting you really hard because you're trying to adjust to the new lifestyle. That's when that's probably when it hit me first, is when everything started to get a little more difficult outside of my faith. So trying to keep up with God and understand what that meant to be a Christian was pretty difficult. Initially, I probably started more of an intrinsic response where I try to develop a stronger relationship with God, not just live off of what I've been told to live by, not just be a methodical Christian where, it's just the actions that I'm doing that are maybe showcasing fruit in my life, but how is my relationship with God really, really growing? So just trying to grow that relationship with God was probably the first step. I came in and I remember we had a couple guys on the team. We had a guy named John Martin and a guy named Jake Barron. And those are the only two other guys on the team that really had a strong faith. And they were good guys. A lot of times they were spiritual mentors to me. And that was incredible to have coming in. But I think that made me realize that that community was one of those things that is necessary as a believer. You can't do this walk with God alone. So trying to find that balance of, finding time to spend with other believers, but also being involved in your team. Like as that happened, I started to realize kind of what my purpose was as an athlete, and why God placed me here. And that was to, foster community within the athletic department. So with that in mind, like that was the new perspective, that was the new goal. And even though I may be a leader of the team now and I have strong relationships with all my teammates now, I have that allotted time set out to, give to other things that I know that God's placed me at. So yeah, I would just say it's the mercy of God. That's the easiest easiest thing to turn to in times of trouble is to understand that his mercies are new every single day. That's the easiest thing to turn to in times. There were times all throughout my college experience where I've tried to run away from God. I've done everything in my power to put my Christian faith aside and for a second, and then just do what I wanted to do. And every single time that I've tried to do that, God's pulled me back. Every single time. It's been one of those things where it's almost like he's just revealed his mind to me. You know, as someone who wants to push out my faith and to try to I guess pour out, you know, love and joy and all those things, you also have to be poured into. The biggest advice that I would give to somebody would be to set aside time each day, and literally just like put your phone aside, put school aside, put your girlfriend aside, everything, literally everything in life, and just sit there and listen to God, whether it's going on a walk, whether it's sitting in your room and just turn all the lights off. Like, there in the Bible, it talks about how God spent a lot of time in the wilderness where he would just sit and just listen to God, and obviously he is God, but spend time with away from people and away from the civilization and away from everything. And I think that's one thing that has really gotten me through going into this new period of my life where I know what my purpose is, but I got to take that time to be poured into as well. I probably have two. I would say my first one would be 1 Timothy 4:8, which is kind of the verse that I live by. It talks about how physical strengthening and physical exercise is really, really awesome. Like, it's great, but how spiritual exercise and working on your faith is ultimately going to reap way more benefits than anything you do in your life. And Hebrews 12:1-2, which is it talks about laying aside every weight and just running the race that God has set out for you. I think that a lot of times being burnt out or being caught up in going through the motions and things like that can become a weight in your life, and it can also become an idol in your life. And I think that with that in mind, you know, we need to lay those types of things aside, and we need to just prioritize God and live for God in those moments.